Let's go ahead and take a look now at how we will remove objects inside of Photoshop. Now the image that I have selected here is an image that I got off of the website pixabay.com, which basically offers Creative Commons images, free images that you can use that are free of copyrights. Anytime that you are using images, whether this site or any site, just make sure that you're checking the licensing to make sure that it is okay to use. But this one is free of any copyrights and licensing, free for commercial use, so we're going to use it here. And basically we have this beautiful scene with these balloons in the air. And let's just imagine for a minute that we love the picture, we love the foreground, we love the sky, but we don't want these balloons. We want to use this for something else. Maybe we want to use it as a blog post image or some kind of other image in our social media platforms, and we don't want the balloons here. They don't go with our branding, but maybe the color scheme does, and we really like this image. So let's figure out how we can actually get rid of these balloons and make this just a sky background on its own. So the first tool that we're going to look at is going to be this tool called the Clone Stamp tool, and it looks like a little old-fashioned stamper. And what we're going to do, let's go ahead and zoom in here, and we'll do this small balloon first. And basically the way that this tool works is you pick a brush. So I usually go with a soft brush when I'm doing any type of these stampings or clonings or anything like that. So pick something that's soft, or you can even do a textured. Sometimes textured brushes work really good. If you do a chalk or a splatter, they can actually work good. You want to match the background that you're using. So if something is very textured and patterned, you might want to use that. If it's very hard, you might want to use a hard brush. You're going to have to experiment with individual images, but I typically find that a soft brush just works okay. And we can mess around with the opacity, the flow, and all these later on. But basically, let's just show you how this tool works. So I've got this brush selected, and I can pick any size that I want to here to sample. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold down the Alt or the Command key, the Alt on the PC or the Command key on the Mac, and you're going to see this target. And basically, it's going to sample whatever I target, and then when I draw, it's going to recolor that in. So for instance, let's just pick the balloon for now. This is not how we would do this, but this is just for demonstration purposes. I'm going to left click as I hold down that key, and then I'm going to come over here, and I'm just going to start drawing. And as I begin drawing, you see it recreates that image, and if you look, there's a plus sign that's drawing what I'm recreating. So if I go down to the bottom, it draws that, and you can see where the target is where it drew that in. So I could actually add in images this way also. But let's go ahead and undo that. And so what we want to do is we need to color in the sky around it and color over that image. Of course, we need to make sure that we pick something that's similar, because if we get over here to the very light area and we start coloring in, it's not going to look right because we have very light and the sky's very dark right here. So you want to try to get close and kind of color this in. So we can pick this cloud right here, and then we can just dot that in and kind of fill that in. And then I can pick this darker color here that's kind of by that cloud area, and if we get too close, it starts coloring in that picture of that balloon. So maybe we come over here where it's a little more open space and color that in there. And I'm just going to follow that same technique, just sampling and then coloring in as I go along. Now you're probably going, when you're using this tool, you probably want to use some other methods to blend this in a little better, because this isn't one of the best tools as far as object removal, but it is a tool that you can use. And so you're just going to want to kind of follow this process, and then you might want to come in here and just kind of play around with this, moving colors around. You might want to use the smudge tool or maybe some other tools inside of Photoshop until you kind of get that blended in real nice to where it's not very noticeable. And that's kind of the key here, is to try to make it still look like a sky. And depending on the picture you're using and the effect that you're going for, it could look very fake if you don't do this right. But this is the first tool, and this is the Clone Stamp tool. And if we back out, you can kind of see that smudging there, but you know, to the naked eye or the regular viewer, they probably aren't going to notice that because they're just going to assume that that's part of the cloud and part of the image, and that probably isn't going to be a big thing for them. But you do want to try to make it look good so it's not, obvious. Like I said, you pick a light color and you come in here, it's not going to look right. Or you pick this cloud and you start drawing that in, it's just not going to look right. So, and you can see where I draw and where the target is where it's picking that image up. So that is the first tool that we can use to start getting rid of objects inside of Photoshop.